Have you ever wondered who would win in a heavyweight showdown between an elephant and a mammoth? It's a classic question that pits the modern giant against its prehistoric cousin. We often imagine mammoths as these colossal, shaggy beasts, way bigger than any elephant today. But is that really true? Let's dive deep into the world of these magnificent animals and separate fact from fiction. First, let's talk about the elephants we know and love. There are three main species alive today: the African bush elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asian elephant. The undisputed champion of them all is the African bush elephant. These guys are the largest land animals on Earth right now. A big male can stand up to 13 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh a staggering 15,000 pounds. That's like parking two large SUVs on a scale. Their massive ears, shaped like the continent of Africa, aren't just for hearing. They're giant radiators that help them cool off in the hot savanna. The African forest elephant, its slightly smaller cousin, lives in the dense rainforests of Central and West Africa. They're a bit more compact, usually standing around 8 to 10 feet tall. Their tusks are straighter and point downwards, perfect for navigating through thick jungle vegetation. Then we have the Asian elephant, found all across South and Southeast Asia. They're smaller still than their African relatives, with a more domed head and smaller, rounder ears. A large male might reach about 10 feet tall and weigh up to 11,000 pounds. So, we've got a range of sizes, even among modern elephants. Now, let's travel back in time to the Ice Age and meet the mammoths. When we say mammoth, most people picture the woolly mammoth, right? The iconic, furry giant with long, curved tusks. And they were impressive. Woolly mammoths were roughly the same size as modern African elephants, standing about 9 to 11 feet tall and weighing around 13,000 pounds. Their claim to fame was their incredible adaptation to the cold. They had a thick, shaggy coat of hair, a layer of fat up to 4 inches thick for insulation, and smaller ears to minimize heat loss. They were perfectly built for a frozen world. But the woolly mammoth wasn't the only mammoth species, not by a long shot. The mammoth family was incredibly diverse. One of the earliest and most widespread was the steppe mammoth. These mammoths roamed across Eurasia millions of years ago, and they were significantly larger than the woolly mammoth. We're talking heights of up to 13 feet at the shoulder, rivaling the largest African elephants of today. They were the ancestors of the woolly mammoth, adapting to colder climates over time. However, if we're looking for the true giant of the family, we have to talk about the Columbian mammoth. This behemoth lived in North America, from the northern United States all the way down to Costa Rica. The Columbian mammoth was a true giant, often reaching heights of 13 feet and weighing up to 22,000 pounds. That's significantly heavier than even the biggest African bush elephant. Imagine a creature that massive. Unlike their woolly relatives, they weren't as hairy because they lived in a warmer climate. Their tusks were also enormous, curving dramatically and sometimes reaching over 16 feet long. But wait, there's an even bigger contender. Let's introduce the Songhua River mammoth, whose fossils were found in China. This species is a bit controversial, with some scientists thinking it might be a subspecies of the steppe mammoth, but its size is undeniable. Estimates based on its fossils suggest it could have stood over 16 feet tall and weighed an incredible 35,000 pounds. That's more than double the weight of a large African elephant. If these estimates are correct, the Songhua River mammoth would be one of the largest land mammals to have ever lived. It completely shatters the image of mammoths just being furry elephants. So, let's put it all together. If you pit a typical woolly mammoth against a typical African bush elephant, it's a pretty even match in terms of size and weight. The elephant might even have a slight height advantage. The woolly mammoth was built for endurance in the cold, while the African elephant is a master of the heat. It would be a fascinating contest of equals. But if we bring in the heavyweights, the story changes. A large male Colombian mammoth would tower over an African elephant. It would be heavier, stronger, and have those gigantic, intimidating tusks. It's not even a contest. The Colombian mammoth would be the clear winner in a size comparison. And if we consider the colossal Songhua River mammoth, it would make even the largest African elephant look small in comparison. It's also interesting to note that just like elephants, not all mammoths were giants. On the islands off the coast of Siberia and California, there were dwarf mammoth species. For example, the pygmy mammoth of the Channel Islands stood only about 5 to 7 feet tall. This is a process called insular dwarfism, where large animals evolve to become smaller when they're isolated on an island with limited resources. So, the mammoth family had both the largest and some of the smallest members of the elephantid family tree. What about their social structures and intelligence? We know modern elephants are incredibly intelligent and social. They live in complex, female-led family groups, communicate over long distances, and even show signs of mourning their dead. Based on fossil evidence and what we know about their modern relatives, it's highly likely that mammoths were also very social and intelligent. They probably lived in herds, protected their young, and had complex social lives, just like elephants do today. So, to answer our initial question, were mammoths bigger than elephants? The answer is a resounding "it depends." If you're comparing a woolly mammoth to an African elephant, they're surprisingly similar in size. But if you compare the largest mammoths that ever lived, like the Colombian or Songhua River mammoths, to the elephants of today, the mammoths were in a completely different weight class. They were the true giants of the Ice Age. It's mind-boggling to think about the sheer scale of these creatures that once walked the earth. While we can marvel at the size of today's African elephants, their ancient relatives pushed the boundaries of just how big a land mammal could get. It gives us a whole new level of respect for the incredible history of life on our planet. Thanks for joining me on this prehistoric size showdown. It's amazing what we can learn from a few old bones. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the wonders of the natural world. See you next time.